किसी के पास नहीं है? You can open it, right? You can open it. Venkat, do you have? Huh? Okay. You also have, no? Okay. So now we will start. Now it is like 5:51. So till 5:55 we will study 3 paragraphs. So this is like so 3 paragraphs. So maybe slotted till there, from the beginning till this point. So all of you should come up with different formulas for happiness and what is not happiness. What is happiness and what is not happiness. How we will get happiness and what if we do, we will lose happiness. That thing has to be mined out from this. The answer should be very crisp. It should not be very long and things like that. It should be very crisp. So if you have a notebook, you can make a note of it, or otherwise in the notes. Better is to have a notebook. You should bring notebooks. Kedar, you have not attended the first session, the first chapter.
I attended.
You attended it? Okay. Not from the beginning, I suppose.
Yeah, like one saw there was a different group, so second part I attended.
So this is a very nice subject to meditate upon. I only put it off. Okay, you need more time or it's done? It's done, no? Okay. So now, tell me like what are the points that you have got. Like you can raise hands and you can contribute. Yes, Boo.
Material material ones not get to permanent happiness. And
Okay, so you're contributing it to not happiness. So let's exhaust the first paragraph. Anybody would like to contribute? Yes, ma'am.
Happiness depends upon the consciousness of the.
No, that's not there in the first paragraph.
so happiness derived through senses. We perceive happiness through senses.
That's also in the second paragraph.
Temporary things like.
Happiness, real happiness is beyond temporary things, right? So that's this one. Okay, so let me project it as well. So this is in the paragraph 1. Okay. What else is there? Real happiness is described in Bhagavad Gita.
Advertisement. Advertisements.
What is that?
Advertisements.
Okay. Everyone is searching for happiness, that is mentioned. And there is so much of advertisement about happiness, but practically very few people are happy. So, okay. So this is like very few people. So much of advertisement, but no one is happy about happiness. Okay. This is okay. Happiness. Everyone is searching for happiness. So this is also something that is there. So many this and that, like everyone is actually searching for happiness. And real happiness is beyond temporary things. Real happiness is described in Bhagavad Gita. Very few people are happy. So that's also an important point. Okay. Now, what's in the second paragraph?
According to their consciousness, the happiness is. Happiness
Degree of development of consciousness. Happiness experienced.
According to the degree of.
According to
Consciousness.
degree of
Consciousness.
development. Okay.
We perceive happiness or distress from our senses.
Okay, through our senses. Happiness perceived. Okay. It's visible, huh? It must be very small, no?
Based on the development of consciousness, we can experience happiness or a degree more intensely than others.
So that's okay. That's point is taken. Happiness experienced according to the degree of development of consciousness.
Second one.
Same thing is summarized here in the below. So the essential point is taken. Okay. ठीक है. Third paragraph.
Material world happiness is not real.
So it's like okay, that's good.
Material promise a lot, but deliver very less.
Where is that point?
Living into this perception and conception have different kind of, like, according to their grades, the happiness is different.
So different types of grades, different kinds of grades of living entity and their perception of happiness. Okay, so this is paragraph 3. Happiness perceived. Grade of happiness. Grade of species, we write. Okay, so based on the kind of species that is there, so how much the senses are developed in that particular species, according to that grade, they can actually develop, perceive happiness. Okay.
Material world happiness is temporary. Even if we see other people going through miseries, we continue to enjoy thinking that it will never affect us. Second last one.
Although one animal may see that another animal is being slaughtered, he will go right on chewing grass, for he has no knowledge to understand that he may be next. He is thinking that he is happy, but at the next moment he may be slaughtered. ठीक है. ठीक है. So now we will come back and we will try to have a picture of this one. Now the next set of paragraphs. So this is the different degree of happiness. Yet all of them, what is the highest happiness? So now we saw that the happiness is temporary in this world, and then the real happiness is beyond temporary things. And generally we perceive the happiness through our senses, and that's the instrument through which we can enjoy. So that is one parameter. Another parameter is the development of consciousness. Okay, so how much our consciousness is developed, to that extent we can actually experience the happiness. So if our consciousness is not developed, we have instruments, still we cannot attain happiness. So everybody, at least in the human form of life, same kind of instruments all of us have. Same eyes, same kind of nose, tongue and ears and things like that. But a person who is wise, a person who is knowledgeable, he experiences permanent happiness. He experiences lasting happiness. A person who's foolish, he will be miserable, in his life. Right? So in that way, that gradation is there. Also, then the development of consciousness is also happens not just by our like not just by our development of Krishna consciousness. So development of consciousness also happens by the way of like advancement in the species, like as a species in the like an animal species, that has a very very low consciousness, and there is better animals who have little better consciousness, so like the different species have different consciousness, and to the degree of development of consciousness they will experience happiness. So the tree that is mentioned, tree is like it cannot experience so much of misery also, and it cannot experience so much of happiness also, because instruments are also like very blunt, and its development of consciousness is also very blunt, right? So because of which, it cannot experience its neither happiness nor distress to a great extent, and as the development of consciousness happens, this one is there. So now the next set of this ones that we are going to discuss is it is going to be like the different degrees of happiness we have discussed, and what is the highest happiness, and what does Krishna speak about this highest happiness. And in that there are many different aspects that are there. So buddhi, that is there, atindriyam, that is there, and these different things, Krishna, like Prabhupada would elaborate in different paragraphs, right? So now let's try to like analyze these things. So this first two, the shloka in itself, and then the next two paragraphs, buddhi, and this one, like the Supreme Lord, the paragraph ends with this. So these two paragraphs let's analyze in the similar way, take out the points. If you have pen and paper, that's very nice. Like more you write, more it will be like registered in your mind, So otherwise you take a note in your notes or something like that, right? So the study has to be done like this. We are trying to study this book, and if you really want to gain the maximum benefit of it, so it's a very very important subject, that is there. So then you should make notes, and you should revise them, and you should try to meditate upon these points. So that's when this subject that we have read will become a practical tool, in our hand. We can actually use that in our practical life. So, so these two paragraphs, the shloka in itself is one paragraph, and then the next two paragraphs, three paragraphs, we'll try to analyze. Okay. Krishna. So, you ready? Okay. So, what are the points?
By the intelligence, we can experience the happiness, and animals have not developed intelligence, so they can't.
So now, previously we saw the degree of development of consciousness. So now we are talking about another aspect. So that is, so that is the development of intelligence. One has to be intelligent if he wants to enjoy happiness. Huh? Okay, next.
Real enjoyer is the spiritual soul.
Okay, the real enjoyer is spirit soul. So, but then we saw that we require senses to enjoy. So, spirit soul doesn't have senses, no? How it can enjoy? It has senses, yeah, that's an important thing. So how the matter has senses, just because the spirit has senses. No, spirit is this one, material senses are just instruments, no? Like my spectacles cannot see on its own, no? Because I have eyes, no, there is a meaning for the spectacles. So in the same way, so the soul has eyes, so there is meaning for this material eyes. No, otherwise, like this material eyes is just like spectacles only. So it cannot see on its own. The soul is the actual perceiver. The soul is the actual enjoyer, actual sufferer. So that's the soul. No? Soul is the real enjoyer is spirit soul. Very important point. Then?
Without a spiritual spark, the one can't enjoy because the dead body has all the organs. But if the spiritual spark is not there.
Okay, so real enjoyer is spirit soul. So that's taken note of this one. Okay, so we'll just put in the bracket, not the body or the senses. Okay. Okay, so now can we correlate these 2 points? The real enjoyer is the spirit soul, and then we have also the happiness is perceived through the senses. So, and we need development of consciousness is also needed, and intelligence is also needed. So now can we put all these things in place? So how to connect all these things?
The happiness is perceived through senses, but the senses are the spiritual senses, not the normal senses which we see.
Okay, but we saw that the senses, through the material senses, the happiness is perceived.
The material body is tailored as per the development of the consciousness of the soul.
Okay.
So let's say that you have already said that we can fly also, like bird can fly. Because we don't want that, it is like covered in human. But what the soul wants, based on that, the senses are manifested.
Okay. So the spirit soul has all capacity to enjoy, but then the body limits. The senses limits. If I have blunt senses, so then accordingly my happiness experienced in this world is limited. And if I don't have developed consciousness, so then the happiness experienced by the soul, is very less. So the development of consciousness, the development of intelligence is quite essential. So without that, the soul cannot experience happiness. Though soul is capable of experiencing happiness, but its happiness is limited, by the consciousness, by the intelligence, by the senses, right? So this is the way, like, for example, if we are capable of eating, X amount of food, but we are supplied only little, so then what we will do? So then we can say that, okay, how the supply will be limited, because my earning is very less. I don't have much of earning, so then I cannot purchase, a lot of quantity of food. So like one can say that the capacity or the eating, the eating depends on one's earning. Eating depends on one's capacity to eat also. So like the soul, is the real experiencer of the happiness, and he has the amazing capacity to enjoy. But then, if the consciousness is low, so then the next level screening, filter is that it is filtering it out. Even though the soul has a lot of capacity to enjoy, but the development of consciousness is so low, the development of intelligence is so low, so then the senses that are awarded is so low. So then the happiness that a living entity can experience is very little, because he is not given the sufficient vent actually, So that is why developing spiritual consciousness in animal body or in the plant body or tree body is very difficult, because the allowance itself is so restricted. In some extreme cases, by extreme mercy of the Lord, things can happen. So the animals, there are instances of animals developing spiritual consciousness. Just for example, Gajendra. So, but then generally it doesn't happen. In general principle, it's very, very difficult. It doesn't happen. So like the body also should allow. So this human body is designed for spiritual consciousness, designed for development of spiritual consciousness. Through human body, we can actually achieve, come to the highest platform of happiness, which Krishna actually mentions. So, okay, so what does Krishna mention? That point we didn't touch.
Yes, Prabhu, here, we are talking about the physical senses which are not so important to experience. But it is like a media which is important, the eye should function properly, then only the
vision can be possible.
Or else that the spiritual senses are fine, this functionality is okay also, is it like the soul can experience the real happiness?
Spiritual senses even now you have.
Yeah,
but why are you not able to experience the topmost happiness?
Because
it's limited by the consciousness and this one's material senses.
What about this physical, whatever we are seeing it, the senses which doesn't work properly, even though the spiritual limitations can be avoided?
See, there is multiple levels of senses. When we talk about senses, one is the gross senses that we are able to see.
Yeah.
Another is the subtle senses in the platform of mind. So in the platform of mind intelligence, there is subtle senses are there. And the another one is the spiritual senses, which is part and parcel of the soul. So now, whenever we talk about senses, we don't talk about the gross senses too much. We either talk about the subtle senses or the spiritual senses. Spiritual senses are all perfect. The subtle senses, they are which is part of the mind, which is actually crippled. So by development of consciousness, simultaneously the senses, the material senses, it will get purified. The subtle senses which is there on the platform of mind, it gets purified. So when it gets purified, we call it as mode of goodness. So then all the senses feels a sense of happiness all the time. So then that is then that doesn't apply any filter. it just allows the happiness to flow.
Even though the physical is not functioning properly, it doesn't.
The physical senses is not that much given importance. So like the subtle senses are given importance. So in most of the cases, whatever is the state of subtle senses, that will be the state of physical senses also. Because mind directly controls. So whatever is the state of the mind, that will be affected by the body. Affected through the body. Like that. So there are many treatments also there, like how when you actually control the mind, automatically your bodily ailments also get cured. So like the disease is actually there in the mind. So when the mind is actually set right, so many times we see that like the body also sets right. So like that. Okay. So like what does the shloka itself says?
Through transcendental senses, this transcendental happiness
Is perceived.
which cannot be departed from the truth.
So this is like a permanent happiness. The joyous state, is beyond the material senses. Atindriyam means beyond the material senses, and realized through the transcendental senses, and established. Thus, one never departs from the truth. He is like really in a very, very joyous state. So that's the ultimate happiness that Krishna is talking about, right? So that anyway is described in the further 2 paragraphs. Okay.
Transcendental senses means the subtle senses you mentioned, or the spiritual senses?
Spiritual senses. And this material senses also will become spiritualized. So what is the meaning of spiritualized? So what is the difference between spiritual and spiritualized? So in Prabhupada lectures, Prabhupada gives a nice example of iron rod kept on fire. Iron rod is it's not fire. It doesn't have the properties of fire. But if you keep the iron rod on the fire, what happens? It acquires the properties of fire. So then wherever you touch, it has the effect of fire. It will burn things, right? So in the same way, the matter is matter, spirit is spirit, right? So matter can never become spirit. But then matter can be spiritualized. So now by training the material senses means when we talk about interchangeably, like either the gross senses or the subtle senses, the external senses that we see or the senses that is there in the platform of mind. So now when we train these senses in Krishna consciousness, we take darshan of the Lord, we chant the names of the Lord, we honor prasadam and things like that. So when we train the senses like this, then what happens? So the material senses also becomes spiritualized. So when it becomes spiritualized, it will have the effect of spiritual this one. So material senses means miserable. Spiritual senses means like it gives happiness. So now to the extent our senses are materially conditioned, it has to deliver misery. And to the extent the senses are spiritually conditioned, then it has to be happy. Right? So these differences will happen. Right? So when we talk about transcendental senses, it's the spiritual senses and spiritualized material senses. Like that. So like the material senses when it becomes nicely trained in Krishna consciousness, so then it becomes source of happiness. Okay, so what else is there?
The spirit always has potential for enjoyment, but it is not always manifested due to being covered by material stuff.
Okay, so this is okay, so enjoy due to covering of
Material tabernacle.
okay. Material tabernacle means it's a kind of a bondage. Material consciousness, or what is the spelling? That is tabernacle. Okay. always has the potency to enjoy. Okay. The body is actually the source of suffering. You know? This is a reduced point from here. Possible for the body to experience enjoyment without the presence of the spirit soul. Okay, next. The next paragraph.
Spirit soul also maintains the body.
Okay. Maintenance we'll leave it now. We'll see through the point of happiness only.
God is the actual person.
Okay.
Spiritual spark has its form.
And senses through which it perceives the happiness.
Similarly, like we're an object which we cannot see, but under a microscope we can see it, like it is also having the form. Similarly, the soul also, it has its form, but there are things we cannot see.
Okay, so now we see that so this is spirit soul also has senses. No. It can. Okay, so next paragraph. Next paragraph. It's concept process, no?
In this only God is an actual person and a spiritual aspect, being a fundamental part of this, part of the God.
It's there. We are just trying to take out from the perspective of happiness. Okay.
You can put a point of not being happy, or like spiritual soul has its time.
So this is maybe like soul being part of God, must have the attributes of God. God has a transcendental body and senses, thus soul also has. So that's the point of, that's how this particular thing is derived. Like the whole discussion came from happiness can be experienced only through senses. Then spirit soul, does it have senses? Yes, it has senses. So how do we know? Because soul is part and parcel of God. So like God has the transcendental body and transcendental senses, thus soul also has a transcendental body and transcendental senses. And through which it can actually experience the happiness. So that is, so the capacity of the soul to experience the happiness is, established here. No, it is not that sometimes like people are in depression and they have this one like, no, I can never become happy. So they come to the point of committing suicide and things like that. It's because like I'm experiencing such misery and I don't have any way, I'm not able to see any way that I can become happy. So they become so much like conditioned by that, So but here it is established, the soul has the capacity to like enjoy happiness, that is there. And Anandamaya Abhyasa. So in the next, this one we will actually come to this one. So, but then the limiting factors are the external factors. So how to actually do things in such a way that these external factors can be put in right place so that the soul can experience happiness. So the internal instrument is like the person who is trying to enjoy happiness, he doesn't have a defect. He can actually experience happiness. So it's the defect is there only in the external coverings and how to actually manage that. So that's the science of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so next is again 2 paragraphs again. 2 paragraphs, Athindriyam, and then 2 paragraphs we'll study. Done? Okay. Tell the points.
You have to transcend the senses in order to experience the real happiness. The material senses we have to transcend.
Okay. So like the yogis, they actually they experience a lot of happiness.
Through controlling the senses.
Oh. Okay, so happiness. Okay.
Eternal happiness. Because soul is eternal. Supreme soul is eternal. So,
Okay, so here there is one more point connected to this, transcending material senses, which also means there is another important thing that is mentioned in terms of transcending material senses.
Yogis focus on the super soul within.
Okay.
And experience the real happiness which is Ananda.
Okay. In between those points, there is control of senses that is mentioned. So that is real happiness by controlling senses. It's a very, very important point. So like all spiritual practices, if you take, so everybody recommend sense controls. And the material world is also focused on trying to achieve more and more happiness. And the spiritual practices are also trying to achieve more and more happiness. Both of them are looking for the same goal. So everybody is looking for the same goal. So but then the material world, the process that is advocated is use your senses as much as possible. Exploit the senses. Go to nice hotel, nice restaurant, and films, and in all possible ways. Hear nice music and like have in the modern day, like why there is so much of free mixing is happening. So like people have come to the point of co-lives. Boys and girls stay together, and they try to exploit as much as possible. They have multiple connections to see, like if this body may give more happiness, that body may give more happiness. So they have all sorts of things. People are actually trying. So that is this one. So like they are really to the core. They are trying to enjoy the senses to the maximum limit. And the spiritual practices, they keep telling to us that real happiness is not by exploiting the senses. You will get the real happiness by control of the senses. So more you control the senses, more you get happiness. So that's one point. The real happiness is experienced by controlling the senses. So why controlling the senses? How come?
Practice is spiritual.
So the source of real happiness is Chit Atmani. So that means the source of real happiness is spiritual. Happiness is spiritual in nature. So that is Chidatmani. So the source of real happiness is spiritual and Chidatmani. And also a sub point in this, what is the source of real happiness? Chidatmani, what is that which is talked about here? What is that the yogis are meditating on? Super soul. No, actually the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is that ultimate source.
Prabhu, here rather than controlling the senses, engaging the senses is the correct word, no? Like we also use the senses too much as we hear about Lord, as much as we
That is the way of controlling of the senses.
means
See, controlling of the senses, when the topic of controlling of the senses, for that matter, any topic comes, so we should see how does the scriptures define the controlling of the senses, and how does the acharyas define controlling of the senses. So that's the way we actually take it. And if you see like the acharya, how he is giving us the controlling of senses, engaging the senses in Krishna's service. So the example that is given is how to control a restless child. If you ask the child, you sit down quietly, will the child sit down quietly? No, it's not possible. You have to give the child a positive engagement. That's when the child can be controlled. So we want to control the child from doing a negative engagement. So that control is achieved by engaging in positive engagement. That's the science. That's the way it is performed. So when we talk about control of senses, like, so we are talking on the one side, like, the how to do it, we will, when that subject comes, like, we will discuss on that in detail.
The real happiness is spiritual, it is also eternal in nature.
It's also real happiness is eternal in nature. Eternal means what?
Ever existing, which will not
It is for
Exist forever.
So eternal means no beginning, no end. What is the Sanskrit word for eternal?
Ananda.
Ananta. What else? Huh? What is it? Sanatana. Sanatana means like eternal. So that is also one of this one of. So that the word itself has many kind of understandings. Sanatana means sanata, like along with, or one who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord. Nata. Opposite of sanata is like anath. Anath kabhi kushi nahi rahega. So to be happy, so one has to be sanata. So because he is the source of happiness, if we are connected to him, so then we can be happy. Otherwise we cannot be happy. So we are eternal and the Lord is eternal. So but still, why we experience this misery of birth, death, old age and disease? We have to take birth at certain time, we have to die at certain time. Why we have to go through this? So sanat means like, it's eternal. So why we have to go through this? Because we have forgotten that, sanatan relationship with the Lord. So then we have to go through this, like birth and death, this one. So the temporariness actually doesn't belong to us. So we are, spirit soul is permanent, the Lord is permanent, and the relationship between the Lord and the spirit soul is permanent. So only the conception that I am not part of the Lord, I am different from the Lord, so that actually creates the problem. Thank you. What else is there?
when one tries to gain happiness in spiritual life, and then by exchanging of relationship with Supreme Lord, that is called Rasli.
Intelligent person will refrain from what is that? Flickering sensual enjoyment. So this is there. Okay, what is the next one? So how do we actually become Sanath? So if we have to become, if we are the source, we have to connect with the source of enjoyment, that is Krishna. So what is this one of connecting with the source? That's called Rasa Leela, right? So that's called the exchange of rasa. Rasa means relationship, So this can be Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya and Madhurya. So all these different kinds of relationships are there. So this one, it's Krishna's dance with the gopis, that's just the one display of Rasa Leela, that's all. So but then, Krishna's reciprocation with Mother Yashoda, Krishna's relationship with his friends, all of them are exchange of rasa. Rasa means a relationship, right? So that is there. So this is and that is experienced through the spiritual bodies, not through the material bodies. So one has to perfect the process of Krishna consciousness. He has to purify his material senses. He has to establish himself on the spiritual platform. Then he can actually exchange relationship with the Supreme Lord. So then that is going to give him permanent happiness. Even the process of controlling the material senses, the process of spiritualizing the senses, even this process also is quite a lot of happiness that is there. So because the happiness, the primary source of this happiness is also Krishna, but then the primary source is coming from putting off the material miseries. If somebody is experiencing a lot of fever, putting off the fever in itself is a kind of a happiness. And then in the healthy state, if he eats nicely and if he like if he does various things, that will make him happy. So that's like, further positive development. So just by putting off the fever, even when somebody has a fever, like when he is getting relief, so when the fever reduces, that itself brings forth a lot of happiness, So though it is not the real happiness, it's not that ultimate happiness that's talked about, but still the whole process of like removing the fever or curing the fever, that itself is a happy process, So that is for us the differential happiness, what I was yesterday and what I am today, that difference, difference of reduction of misery in itself can bring about a lot of happiness. That's the perception of happiness actually. ठीक है. So then what else?
Showing the trying to find the real happiness by
Connection with the source of happiness, that is the Supreme Lord, is called okay.
there is a point for not being happy, trying to find happiness in the wrong place, like chewing the material product.
So it's so this is no happiness not available. So this is similar to
When one is not intelligent, he doesn't know where to search for the happiness when he starts searching it in the material world.
okay. So that's a nice point. Unintelligent person.
Search for happiness.
Okay. Source of happiness. So it's like again and again this point of intelligence is very much needed, for enjoying happiness, and the place, the source also must be proper. The source must be proper. The intelligence and consciousness must be proper. The person must also be proper. He should be capable of enjoying the happiness. So we need to have the capacity, and we need to have the right source, and we need to have the right means. So all of them are needed. So in material world, what is this one? So they're thinking that happiness is the source of happiness is the sense objects, and the means of happiness is by engaging the senses in the sense objects, and they're trying to enjoy through the platform of mind, intelligence, and things like that. So, but this one is like the source is the problem. So when the source is changed, so then naturally, if we put the source on Krishna, so Krishna is the source of all happiness, we can actually get happiness. So but the matter, the dead matter, it doesn't have any happiness stored in it. Actually, in fact, it is the misery is stored in it. So more we try to scratch that, so more we will get only misery. So that's the formula. Okay. So there is a flash of happiness that is there. We cannot say that there is no happiness in material world. No. There is no happiness or not in material world, in material platform. So there is slight happiness. Just like flashing. So we cannot what is it? It is just that so much of misery packed up with a nice package of, thin layer of happiness. The moment you open the packet, everything that that exists is misery. So that's how the material this one is. There is slight happiness is there, and that makes everybody go crazy in this material world. Okay, so why people are not able to come to this conclusion? Okay, the spiritual, this one is very difficult to understand, but at least why people are not able to come to the conclusion that material world is miserable?
They don't know the spiritual life is there.
Okay, so that is there, but then at least real happiness they are not able to check. But then at least they should come to the conclusion that material world is completely miserable.
Because whatever pleasure, that momentary pleasure they are getting, they are sufficient, and their illusion that is the only pleasure that we get it in this material world, and they are satisfied with whatever momentary happiness they get.
So they're not satisfied, they're looking for more. So everybody is looking for more, everybody is looking for, there is constant this one if you get this, you will become happy. And if you reach there, no, you should get this, you will become happy. So there is constant, this one is there, you have to make your life more better, and if you do this, you'll become happy. So till the point of death, everybody is going through this rat race. Somehow or other, I'll become happy. So if you ask anybody are you fully happy and satisfied? No, nobody will say. No, still so much more is there. So one time Srila Prabhupada was giving this example. So a householder, so in his age of retirement, so he is telling to his wife, now I have done so much for the family, so much for you, so much for the children and things like that. So now I want to take sannyas. I want to fully focus on the Supreme Lord. So then the wife will say, no, what have you done? Still so much more is there. Still we have not got happiness. What have you done? Right? So never, material relationships, never they actually give this one saying that now we are completely satisfied. No, that point doesn't come at all. So that is only possible by the spiritual practitioners. They actually say, okay, fine, we are satisfied. And then we are looking for more higher degree of satisfaction. Material, this one, no, we have not got any satisfaction. We are still looking for it. So, but then the spiritual, this one is we got satisfaction, and now we are working for higher degrees of satisfaction. That's okay. Even at that stage, spiritualist, at any stage, he'll be, especially when he crosses through this, the stage of fever, and then he comes to the positive stage, then there is a lot of happiness that is there, so like that. So, and another important this one is the illusion, the illusory potency of the Lord is so powerful. So even though it is completely miserable, still people cannot understand, it is completely miserable. So that's the captivating this one, the capacity of the illusory energy of the Lord. So all of us are affected by the illusory potency of the Lord, and to the degree we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, the Lord will release us from the illusory potency. So the pramana is Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. So the material nature is Daiviyesha. It has the divine energy of the Lord. It is divine energy of the Lord, and nobody can overcome this material nature. Nobody can overcome this material nature. Only Maam evaya prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So only when we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, so we can the Lord will release us from the material nature. So somebody is put into a jail, so he doesn't have the capacity to come out of the jail. So now we are talking about, okay, in the material platform we cannot experience happiness. So spiritual platform, okay, let's switch the platform. No, it's not possible. So this material platform is just like a imprisonment of a jail, and for me to get out of this, I require the mercy of the Lord. No, without that I cannot get out of it, right? So to experience the happiness, and what's the process of getting out of this material, of this jail? No, mam eve prapadyante. Prapanna, what is the meaning of this word prapanna? Surrender. No, that's the meaning, right? So like when we do this process of surrender, so that's also a process. That's not also sentimental, this one. No, it is actually a process. No, the process of surrender. So when we implement the process of surrender, so then we will get released from the like material clutches, and then we will get this one into entrance into the ultimate bliss. So we will see that.
So Prabhu, is it not because of the society which has been processed in this, which is like physically the successful people who are controlling the world?
Mm-hmm.
So they can physically show like, okay, this is how happiness we have achieved.
Mm-hmm.
So it's physically visible.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, people are thinking, okay, this is the way to achieve the happiness and following.
Where it is physically visible?
Means for money.
There are many people, many rich people, they are in so much of distress. All the rich people, if you see the Economic Times or if you see this one, like how all these rich people are in stress and how they are competing to maintain their position. There is sufficient, this one is there, of how they are miserable and how they are happy. So both the things, there are sufficient information that is there. But the illusory potency of the Lord, makes us see only that, though he is going through that misery, but still, he is happy.
Yeah, physical, which is he is going to achieve with this money or whatever the fame, that is only visible. The other part, the other people who have not reached up to that mark, they feel, oh, that's not that great deal to handle that distress. Because of that.
So why it is so? Why that is visible? This is one point that we discussed. It is based on development of consciousness and development of intelligence. Right? So the materialistic people, their development of consciousness is so that they will be able to see only that much. Right? So now, for example, if a small child is there and you put a toy in front of the child and you tie the toy with a rope, and the child will go behind the toy and you pull the rope and the toy moves to another location and the child go behind that. And the child will never be able to understand there is somebody is having a rope and he is pulling the rope, and because of that the toy is getting is changing the location. Instead of going behind the toy, I have to go to this person and remove the rope from his hand. Then I can get the toy. Itna dimag nahi chalta hai. Because lack of development of consciousness. In the same way, how do we perceive this world? How do we see what's happiness, what's distress? How we actually do that? That requires a little bit of intelligence. A person doesn't have developed intelligence, then it is not possible for him to understand what is happiness, what is misery. So what is misery, he will see it as happiness, and what's happiness, he'll see it as misery. Right? So that's the capacity of seeing, capacity of perception. Right? So now to the extent, let's try to connect these two subjects that we were discussing. So we are put into the jail and we are released from the jail, and that can be compared to we are having low consciousness or low intelligence and high consciousness or high intelligence. So in the process of jail, either you are in the jail or you are outside the jail. So but in this process what happens is the release from the material nature, it happens to the proportion of the surrender that you have to the Supreme Lord. So if the proportion of surrender is less, to that extent you will be released. To that extent you can actually experience happiness. And to the proportion you are not surrendered, so to that extent you are still within the prison and you have to experience misery. Right? So this is going to happen in the phased way. To the degree of proportion, ye yatamam prapadyante, tam tatay, what is it? What, anybody knows that shloka? Ye yatam, No. Ye yatamam prapadyante. Search that shloka. Ye yata mam prapadyante. Ye means how people actually surrender to me. Prapanna, just now we saw the word prapanna means surrender. So, ye yata mam prapadyante. As people surrender unto him, as people surrender unto the Supreme Lord. So, Tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. Ye tamam prapadante. Tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. Right? Mama vartmanu vartante manusya partha sarvasah. Right? So this so this is how, like, as people surrender unto him, he actually reciprocates. And this formula of, like, you have to see the scriptures like it's like formulas. You have to put various formulas together, then you will actually get a picture. So you cannot take one statement as absolute. The scriptural statements cannot be taken as one statement as absolute. So you have to put all statements regarding that particular point together, so then you will actually get a picture. So this point of surrender, so as people surrender unto the Lord actually rewards them accordingly. And what is a reward? So the another sloka that we saw, that ye yatamam prapadyante what is it? Daiviyeshu gunamahi mama maya duratheya mam eva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Right? So like to the somebody surrenders to me, so then I take them out of maya. So like Maya is difficult to overcome, but somebody surrenders to me, I take them out of Maya. And the other sloka says that as people surrender unto me, I reward them. The reward is release from Maya, and to the extent that you surrender, that much extent you will be released from Maya. Right? Like that. So it's going to go on proportional basis. It's not going to happen flip-flop basis. Either you are miserable or happy. No, it's not like that. So it's going to be a mixture. In the process of practice of Krishna consciousness, it's going to be a mixture. To the extent that we are surrendered, we will experience happiness. To the extent we are not surrendered, we will experience the material happiness and misery, which is essentially misery only.
In both cases, mixture only.
Which one?
There it is like very temporary happiness, but there also both happiness and misery, and in spiritual life also both happiness.
In spiritual life, to the extent you are taking spiritual life, it's only happiness. And to the extent you are taking up the material life, it's only misery, but it is advertised in two ways. Something is called as happiness, something is called as misery, but actually only misery. That's pure misery. Some misery is packaged as happiness and some misery is packaged as misery. That's all. But it's only misery. How to establish that? How to establish that? How to establish that in material world pure misery is there? One example that was there in the second or third paragraph.
Bamboo is there? No, that is
the tree.
Tree.
If you ask the tree, are you happy? The tree may say, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy standing here. But that's not the standard of happiness. So he is so illusioned. A miserable state is, he feels that particular miserable state is actually happiness. So he is able to perceive that. I'm happy. So that's like very, very low level of consciousness. So, but actually speaking, like a person, like we are not tree, like if we are asked to stand like that day and night in the rain and sun and things like that, we will not be happy. So because of his blunt senses, he is able to experience that as happiness. So, but actually it is not happiness. So real happiness is beyond the material senses. That's the point that we were discussing at this. Like the material happiness is make believe. It is like this is happiness. Like people, everybody are talking about this is happiness. So abhi main bolunga ye happiness nahi hai, to like kaisa hoga? And then there is a slight flash of happiness. That is a slight happiness that is there. So that is also like a person who is advanced in consciousness, he will actually feel that is misery. He will not be able to perceive that as happiness. So that's how people who are very, very wise, people who have very advanced consciousness, they give up all the material happiness that is talked about. So why it is, that is also mentioned that like Ramante Yogino Anante Satyananda Chidatmani, right? So like, and in that point Prabhupada is discussing, so if there is no happiness in the beyond the senses, why people are going, why yogis are going behind it? And if there is so much of happiness in this material world, why the yogis are giving it up? If they are actually looking for happiness, okay, fine, like idhar bhi hai, udhar bhi hai, like dono enjoy karenge, hai na? So it is pure misery, that's why they are giving it up. Otherwise they will not enjoy, right? So but for giving it up, they require little development of consciousness. So Arjuna wants to give up that thing in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, like the whole discussion is, he wants to give up all these things. Oh, this material world is too miserable. I want to become happy. No, I will renounce everything. Right? So then Krishna says, like, you cannot renounce because you're at this point in time you are affected, by these material transactions. So if you give it up and if you go to the forest, no, it is not some external thing that you're going to enjoy happiness with. No, you have to have developed consciousness, developed intelligence. That is when you will actually be happy. No, otherwise you cannot, just by renouncing material things, you cannot be happy. No, you will actually be miserable. Because you are able to see only that as happiness and you give that up also. How will you be happy? I know, it is not possible. So your level of consciousness is that, so then you have to be there. No? So to give up, you need to have developed consciousness, right? So that point is mentioned. Okay.
One small point, Prabhu, but in here in our Krishna consciousness, encourage people towards that. Like whoever approaches us, we will encourage like, okay, he's ready means to give up everything and to.
Oh, only if he is ready. Otherwise, it will be a disaster in his life. Otherwise, he will be miserable.
But in Arjun's case, like, why Krishna thought like
So he made him prepared, no? It's not that like in that state itself he has to renounce everything. Later point in time, Arjuna also renounces.
Same like our process.
So like that is there. See, the renunciation is falsely taken as that one has to give up one's family, this, that, and become a sadhu. So it's not just like that. Renunciation is internal detachment, that has to come. So if a person is internally detached, so then he'll be happy in any of the situations. Okay. So internal detachment is talked about a lot. When the topic of sannyas comes, there is a very nice discussion that happens, like Krishna mentions that it's not that renunciation of external stuffs. So internally renunciation has to happen. That is when the external renunciation will sustain. Otherwise it's not possible to
Consider him as ready.
Internal renunciation has to happen. Okay, so now we have discussed quite a lot of points till the paragraph 8. We have few more this ones. We'll continue this exercise next week as well. But then we will not spend. We'll see, like based on the discussions, how it goes. But then, I'll post these points similar to these. All of you also should try to develop the points and come. Try to apply and try to develop these points, and then try to put these things into practice. So let's spend some time on the practice. So how are you going to practically apply these points in your practical life? So many nice points that we have discussed. So it doesn't require that like all these things you have to put into practice or something like that. You have to just take one small aspect and then try to consciously put it into your practice. So what would you like to take? You can contemplate for 2-3 minutes. So I'll give you some time, and then you can share about that particular this one and put it as a focus. Next 1 week, try to put and try to apply that as a practice. 2-3 minutes, just try to contemplate. Okay. Anybody wants to share?
Yeah, we should control our senses and engage it through a proper like Krishna consciousness, so that our senses will be getting clear, so that we can enjoy the real happiness.
Nice, nice. Yeah.
We should focus on increasing our relationship with the Supreme Lord, because then only our soul can get real happiness. And try
How will you do
by
that?
engaging in the service to the Lord.
That's very nice. So how we connect? The Lord is the source of all happiness, and no, we are part and parcel of the Lord. The way we connect with the Lord is through the service. Chanting is a service. Honoring of prasadam is a service, and now this month, we'll be doing a lot of book distribution. So that's also a wonderful service, right? So like this, you can try to engage in the service of the Lord, and that actually, through that, you will be able to connect with the Supreme Lord. So when you connect with the Supreme Lord, you will be happy, right? So nice, very nice point. Yeah.
Like when we are doing services like book distribution or doing other things like cleaning or any other things, like because of this, the selflessness will, means being selfish will go away, or like how it is working.
All these things which are contaminations, they will get purified. So services is as mentioned by the Supreme Lord. So that is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So these are all various services. So and in that this one in the beginning stages, as much as physically we engage in the services, so that much we will get nice purification. So physically we how much energy is there we should use in Krishna's service.
It's because of this selfishness for us will go, or
Yeah, it will naturally go. Naturally go. See, always we are trying to serve that Supreme Lord. So, but right now, that this one is the self is pointed to this body. The parameter self is pointed to this body. So we are trying to serve this body. So when the parameter is changed to Krishna, then automatically we'll try to serve Krishna. So that we'll move towards real selfishness. Who is our self? No, we are not this body. We are the mind. We are not the mind. We are the intelligence. Then more higher definitions, we are not the intelligence. We are soul. And still more higher definition is, so we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So Lord is the real self. We are just like the hand or leg, like these parts. So when we serve the real self, so then that becomes the true selfishness. So then true selfishness then automatically gives the artificial selfishness will go off. Like that. Okay, others? What are? Yes.
God is a real person. So we are one of the real person. So we try to serve the real person, so that we will get the benefit from the
Yeah, that's a very nice meditation. The Lord is a real person. So, it's not some vague concept, something like our friend, with whom we are able to relate with, talk with, and things like that. So, in that way, we can, real person means what will you do to do that, enhance your understanding that God is real person?
like saying Shravanam, Kirtanam.
One thing that we generally do with real person is a conversation. So you can try to, in front of the Lord, in front of the altar, you can try to offer prayers and then feel, how a real person is actually listening to you, like that. So then that actually enhances this one. And how various things that is arranged for you in your life is personally chosen by the Lord. He is actually personally caring for me. So more we exercise this one. So actually in advanced state of consciousness, we'll actually feel the reciprocation. Actually we'll be able to meet with and interact with the Lord as if we are interacting, we both how we are interacting, the same way we'll be able to interact with the Lord. So, but now, so we have to cultivate that consciousness. So like that. So offering prayers is a very, very nice way of relating with the Lord. So we will speak only to a person whom we know, like, okay, there is a person, others will not speak, right? So we'll going and offering personal prayers, to the Lord. So that will be a very nice, this one.
One more thing. So if we create a religion, so we'll always take the like murti puja or something too, or without like visualize the some.
As a what is it? If he
We'll take some like murti, or we'll do worship always, or whenever we do the prayers for any specific thing, just visualize Supreme Personality is there.
No, you go in front of the altar and do that. When you come to the Bhakti center, or even in your home, you must be having the picture of the Lord, right?
But that is not worship. I just.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Pratik Boo, what you would like to do? Practical implementation. ठीक है, take some more time. आप बताइए.
By serving the Lord, like attending morning Mangala Aarati, daily 16 rounds of chanting, Prabhupada lectures in morning, then any books reading like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, or any books that written by the devotee. Like I went through the book, The Salted Bread, and how the in Armenia Krishna consciousness has spread. Even the police like beating like anything. Sometimes it's went to the devotee, but still they are practicing the devotional service. And like going to outreach, book distributions.
Even though they are, that time in Russia, no practice of Krishna consciousness was considered to be criminal.
Yes.
And people were, So that's a nice drama like that is there in YouTube. So all of us should see that.
The Salted Bread, very nicely written.
Book is also very nice, actually. This is also, so to see all the activities as a service to the Lord, like all the routine activities that you are doing, so seeing that as a service to the Lord, that's nice, very nice. Nice form.
So developing intelligence to understand what is permanent and so what is temporary. So if it's temporary, like understand and use it only to that level and not getting it too attached to it. And seeing that in connection, how is it connected with the Supreme Lord?
Nice, very nice. So like this is also very nice analysis, like whatever we come across, is it temporary or is it permanent? That analysis, that can actually keep us quite Krishna conscious throughout the week. So like, and if it is temporary, then this is not going to give me ultimate happiness. Though so many people may be talking about it, so much of hype up is happening in this world about that, but still, like, I know from the scriptures, temporary things cannot give permanent happiness. So like that. So that's a very nice contemplation. Nice form. Nice form, Venkat.
Reading spiritual books and conversation with friends like about the God and the spirituality. So that will improve the spirituality.
So conversation with the friends is good, and for that you need to have sufficient conversation with devotees. So how much, like in the initial phase of Krishna consciousness, how much we spend time on studying books and conversing with devotees and the spiritual side, so that should be like 80%, and conversing with friends or other people, talking about God should be like 20%. Then we will be safe. Because even in that conversation we will be affected. So we should be like sufficiently equipped, to do that. Okay, nice. Yes, Paul.
Without knowledge, the cannot experience ultimate happiness. So knowledge is acquired from devotional service.
Yeah, so without knowledge we cannot experience happiness, and we can develop knowledge by devotional service. No more we render devotional service, more we will develop nice knowledge. Yes, Bo? Pradeep, Bo?
Reading the book and understanding the meanings. And whatever you do, each and every devotional service, we should do it with focus. So that's
Yeah. So now, like when we do it with focus, like understanding that this is service to Krishna, so then that the same devotional service will give so much more benefit. So mechanically also we can do chanting. Mechanically also we can do different services. But if we do it with focus, then we will get the maximum benefit. Nice. So, like, please note down this one, your practice, that you want to do. And always remember, like, too many things to practice, it's not going to work. Just focus on one point. Just focus on one point and try to implement 1 or 2 points or few points. Like, if we go for a lot of things to implement at one time, it's quite difficult. It's not going to happen. And the good news is, when we advance in Krishna consciousness, even through one point, if you try to penetrate in, and if you advance, you will actually get a whole picture, of everything, right? So we don't need to worry about, okay, like if I just focus on this point, like what about the other thing? So no, don't worry about it. So just what actually appeals to you, what you are able to relate with, in the this one. So just start with that, and then you will actually feel a lot more experience. So that's the way we should do. So like try to remember the point of what you want to implement in this week, and try to pray to the Lord, regarding that, and contemplate and implement, and in your readings, in your hearing, and in your various in interaction with the world around. So always try to keep this point in the focus and try to analyze this and things like that. So in that way, like you'll make sufficient progress in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we will pause today's session here. We'll have a small kirtan. So this kirtan is the real intelligence in Krishna consciousness. So now we have philosophically studied about kya? So like kirtan is one of the prime